Hello, 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 my brothers. Welcome to DL Gidron's BBV, Black Brothers View. And today we got some more brothers here to share with you their view, their perspective on the topic of today. On this platform, we don't debate, we just conversate and we share our view. I believe that everybody's view comes from their experiences. Nobody can take your experiences away from you. And from that, your view is formed. And so we got a lot that's going on in our society, in our world, in our nation, in our different cities. And this platform has given us an opportunity to be able to have an outlet, to be able to share, and also to be a different positive energy. You know, some positive Black brothers sharing. I want to say this. I forgot to share this last week during the premiere of our Zoom broadcasting, is that the vision for BBV, it originated in 2005. So it started out live at the Fulton County. I would have it at the Fulton County Library, downtown Atlanta. But I am so thankful to my brother, Mark, who has been able to help produce and bless me to be able to bring it on this level. So right now, before we go into our topic for today, and I am excited about who we got on the panel. I'm ready to hear what they got to say, what's in their hearts, what's in their minds. Listen, brothers, if you would introduce yourselves to the world.
How's everybody doing? My name is Rayshawn Carson. I am a worship artist. I'm a worship pastor. I am a servant of the Most High God. I love God's people. I love humans in general. And most of all, I'm honored to be a part of the panelists on today. And I look forward to offering some insight from, my experiences in the past. It's an honor to be on the panel today. Thanks, Pastor G.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Rashard.
All right.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Darrell Shabach Gidron, the son of Bishop Gidron G, King G, whatever the name may be. I am artist, producer, rapper, photographer, videographer, graphic designer, a lot. Anyway, repping A-Town. Glad to be here. I believe I was probably about 8 or 7 years old when it first started. So glad to be here.
All right. Good evening. Mark Petersen, probation officer, former police officer. I've known Gidron since we pledged Alpha Phi Alpha together in college back in 1993. Just here to give my insight on how I feel about certain things, share my views, my past experiences.
All right. Awesome. Listen, as we did last time, as I would do all the time, I believe in a little icebreaker. Y'all know how I am. Everybody who know me, know in the event. I believe in an activity, a little game to break the ice. So I was waiting for today to do this because I've seen Ellen do it, right? So I'm going to give you 3 challenges. It means that you're going to have to get up from where you are and come back with something. Okay? So the first challenge is I want to see, and everybody need to get up and go find these items, okay? So it's like, who can find it first? Y'all ready?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Please don't hurt yourselves, okay? All right. So the first person to go and find a Bible. Bring a Bible back. That's easy. A Bible.
Does the app on your phone count?
Does the Bible app?
Nope. It has to be a book, a Bible. Old school Bible.
I didn't lost that quick.
You didn't get up and go.
I don't have a Bible. Like I got the Bible app.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Bible app right here on my phone. Everywhere I go, I have it.
Now I'm the youngest one out I got the old school Bible in my hand.
Oh! Shabach got it. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. That's good. All right. So now, the second challenge is the first person to go and bring back something blue. You cannot have it on. You got to hold it in your hand. Bring back something.
Blue. Okay, blue.
Rayshawn, you lost already.
What is that? Gosh.
So
I got a bowl. I got a bowl.
You got a bowl? Okay. I want to see what Mark gonna bring back. Wait a minute.
Well, Mark already had it. He was the first one. What is that?
Life vest, man, blue and orange.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So the last one is Rashard look like you ready, boy. The first person to go back and bring 2 different shoes. Not the same pair, 2 different shoes.
Okay, hold on. Them shoes are all the way downstairs.
I love it. Well, you could have taken off one. That would have been one, but then it would have. Okay.
I got on some flip flops.
Okay. So anyway, that's how. Hey, I appreciate y'all having some fun. Appreciate y'all having some fun with me. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Petersen.
Man, look, I happen to be on my 3rd floor cleaning up right now. I got a whole bunch of stuff out. That's how I won.
Hey, that's how you go to Let's Make a Deal. You take a big old bag of everything.
You heard him flexing though. He said he's on his 3rd floor, not 2nd. His 3rd floor.
Oh yeah. Hey, we talked about that last week.
Hey, look, my house is thin and tall, not wide. So.
Oh, thin and tall like you. Okay. Listen, y'all. So getting on the serious tip right now. First of all, since the last time, and I want to welcome. There are going to be a variety of brothers here. Some brothers may be, repeat and come back, and there may be some new faces. Brothers are always invited to keep coming back. There will be some different faces joining us. We're going to do some young school, old school, with whatever the different views are. But since our last week's taping, we had an incident to take place, and want to make sure and let you know also, we pre-record a week in advance. And so thank you, Mark, for making me reminded to share that with everybody. So a lot of times if it's something that we didn't touch base on, it could be because of that reason. Since last broadcast, Rashard Brooks, a brother here in Atlanta, Georgia, was killed. His life was taken not too far from my house, about 1.5 miles from my house. Police officer shot him twice, and he was, I think 27 years old. He was actually found sleeping in the car at Wendy's, University Boulevard, and they tried to wake him up, couldn't wake him up at first. They called the police. They came, and of course, when the first interaction with the police, y'all probably seen this, but for somebody who hadn't, the first interaction with the police for about 20 minutes seemed to have been going pretty well, the conversation, the dialogue. And then right after that, when they began to put him in handcuffs, he then began to scuffle, and eventually taking the taser from one of the officers and tasing him back. Then he began to run, began to flee, got shot in the back twice, and then some things proceeded after that. I want to, before going into our question for tonight, in lieu of that just taking place, and in the order that we're going in, if you would let me know, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts now? How did you feel when you heard about that? Yet another Black brother that we lost in such a tragic way under the hands of the police officer. What are your thoughts regarding that, and what are some of your emotions? And this is a good time for you to just, just share. Somebody may feel the same way you do. Rayshawn?
Well, I kind of figured you was going to call me first.
Yeah.
I started gathering my thoughts. But what I will say is it was anger. I was very angry when I heard of this incident. We're as a race is in a very toxic situation, but a very needed situation. The unity amongst Black people is just immaculate in this day and hour. I mean, it took some really horrible things for something like this to happen where we would be unified. But what I will say, and this is not to shun Black Lives Matters, because I believe 100% Black Lives Matter. And I know that we are facing the issue of police brutality, but because Black Lives Matter, we as Black men, we cannot be ignorant. We cannot be ignorant. I understand that you have some police officers, and some of them are very egotistical, they're prideful, and they feel that they are the president of the streets, okay? They feel like they're the president, the chief of the streets. But at the same time, when it comes to situations like that, we do have to use wisdom. We can't be ignorant. The gentleman should not have grabbed any of the policeman's weapons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish that it could have been different. And, it's kind of like, if you grab the police weapons, they're going to retaliate. Mm-hmm. So I just wish that it could have happened differently. Mm-hmm. But it's so hurtful that another Black man have to die. And I wish that the policeman had to use some of the training that he had, because this could have been prevented. It did not have to lead to this. But as you can see, the man got angry. The man got egotistical. The man got prideful. He kicked him after he shot him.
Yeah.
Because you took my weapon. Right. You made me feel small, and I'm the one in charge.
Wow.
So it's very hurtful. But Black Lives Matter, and there is always a way to doing things, but we just can't be ignorant. We have to use wisdom in situations like this. I know that it's a shame that we have to fear for our lives, especially as Black men, when we're stopped by the police. But at the same time, we have to use wisdom, and hopefully we're saved where the Holy Ghost can intervene in and speak on our behalf. But it was very hurtful. It was so many emotions that I experienced. And, I'm just praying for the family and praying for the race as a whole. Everybody is hurt and they're rioting. And one thing that I think it was Malcolm X said, or Martin Luther King is one of them, he said riots and protests is the voice of the unheard.
Martin Luther
King, yeah, this is the voice of the unheard. And it's so sad that when you're fed up and you're sick and tired, sometimes you will do stuff on impulse. And sometimes you may not even mean to do it, but because of how you feel it and nobody heard you when you did it peacefully, sometimes you take it to the next level.
Right. Good, man, good. Yeah. And that's one thing I'm glad about this platform is that we got voices on different levels from different backgrounds and experiences. And your view is not debated on here, because guess what? Your view reflects the view of so many others. It may not be somebody else's view, and by us hearing it, it helps us to understand, And but I liked what you said, Shabach. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts regarding what just recently happened with Rashard Brooks?
Mixture of thoughts. It's one of those things that you wish it didn't have to be. But at the same time, it's one of those things that you try to be careful. At least I try to be careful on how do I come with my perspective when I see things like this. Like Rayshawn was talking about, there's a lot on both sides that has to be talked about, that I believe isn't talked about. And when we can correct on both sides and not just blaming it on one side, so not just blaming it on the police officer and then not just blaming it on the black man, but how could the situation be prevented on both sides? Then we can get there. Other than that, for me, I guess I come accustomed to growing up seeing another black man dying, because of police brutality or because of him doing something. So what Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over. So at what point will we, as black people, see that we know that this is how this is built. We know that this is what they're going to do. What can I do as a black man to make sure that I'm not another hashtag?
Yes.
Katie Bowe was talking about incident that he had some time ago, and he had to be mindful with what he said because he did not want to be another hashtag. And I believe that's where we, as black men, but as black people, because this is women too, that we have to be mindful on how our actions can affect the situation, whether or not that consequence should be or not. But I'm not going to curse out my pops and not expect to get punched in the mouth, So we have to understand that different things have consequences. So.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Wow.
Good point.
Wow. Yeah. Did I see Steve come in?
He did come in, and he's bounced out. I sent a message to the groups, hoping he can come back.
Okay. So, Mark.
Yes.
Your perspective comes from a black man, from a father, but also former law enforcement. And so you see things such as this from different perspectives, from both sides.
From both sides.
And so, right. So I'm interested to hear what do you have to say regarding when you heard this yet another, right after we just got through with the last conversation.
Right.
When you heard this, what were your thoughts?
At first, I try to keep an open head, open mind about all this stuff because, I myself was involved in an incident as an officer, almost shot somebody. The only thing why I didn't do it was because I went through my mind, my use of force, and said I could not do it based on what I knew at that point in time. Come to find out 5 minutes later, I was justified in shooting that person because he stabbed 3 officers. I didn't know it at that point in time.
Right.
So I don't rush to judgment because I know how quick that decision has to be made. I try to wait till everything comes out before I say you were wrong, you were right, you shouldn't have done that, you should do that, because I've been in those shoes before. So, at first I was like, oh man, I hated that he died. I'm gonna say that first and foremost. Shouldn't have to be that way. But then when I saw him pull that taser back and shoot it at him, I know a taser can incapacitate someone, okay? Can make him stop. So if that taser hit that officer, he could have theoretically, I'm saying theoretically, gone and taken his weapon and used it against him. Okay? So that's how I was like, well, he didn't have to because there's another officer there. But then when I realized, because see, I've never carried a taser. I've only used them in training, so I've never carried one. So when I found out that once it's been fired twice, it's inoperable, it's no longer a deadly weapon. So at that point, I said, oh, the officer had no reason to shoot because that weapon was no longer a weapon.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so yeah, once some tasers are fired more than one time, they're no good. It's just a paperweight at that point. So it can't be used against you. So at that point, the officer knew he fired it one time and then he got fired again. So he shouldn't, so by their policy, from what I'm hearing, he had no justification to shoot and it didn't even hit him. So, but I want to piggyback off what Shabach had said. We have to do things differently to get different reactions.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I have to arrest people, I try to remain as calm as possible. I try to remain as respectful as possible, give specific instructions, say, hey, I need you to stand up, turn around, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest. Then people say, what did I do? And I'll say, sir or ma'am, this is not the time to discuss that. Once I have you secure, I will give you your charges. But at this point, I need you to follow my instructions. Okay?
That's a good way to do it.
What a lot of people want to do when they're getting arrested is argue their point right then and there. That's an officer safety issue. I don't need to have you arguing with me trying to control the situation. I need to get you under control. Once I get you in handcuffs in my car, I will talk to you. I will explain everything to you. I'll let you know what's going on. But
So you're saying that you're saying the protocol is to put you in handcuffs first and then tell you why you're being arrested?
I'm not gonna say that's a protocol. That varies by department. And I'm not gonna say there's a written law saying you have to tell someone exactly at this moment why you're under arrest. Okay? But what I am saying is the way I handle my business. I say, I need you to do this. Once I get you in handcuffs and in my car, I'll explain to you what's going on. I'm not going to sit out on a street corner with 30 other people and debate with you about why you're going to jail. Okay? And 90% of the time, I don't have any problems because I've already said this is what's going to happen, and I will give you that respect. But like Shabach was saying, we have to learn how to act, because what people fail to realize, police work is 95% reactionary. Police react to what's going on. They're not proactive, they're reactive. So when you punch an officer, what's that officer gonna do?
React.
When you take a weapon of anything from an officer, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
React on another level because his life is in danger at that point.
Right. So it's kind of like, I think it's Sir Isaac Newton's laws of physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly.
Once
Absolutely.
we understand that, we should, and this is for anybody, once we understand that anything we do is going to be reacted to, we should act accordingly. It's kind of like if our parents said when we were kids, if you don't want to get punched, don't punch somebody else.
Right.
And that's what it has to boil down to, that simple mindset of, you know what, let me just go to jail, get out and bond in the morning, and it's done with. Or let me try to fight, flee, maybe get away, and pray that I make it to the jail. And it shouldn't be like that, but people are going to react because their life is in danger. And, by me saying, I'm not condoning what that officer did. I'm not saying that every time someone runs, you shoot. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Officers are going to react to your actions. If you're cool with them, most of the time, they're going to be cool with you. Now, I've seen some videos where people have felt the officer was too harsh on what's going on. They get there, but what people have to understand is those calls get sent to the officer. So they're coming and getting information from a dispatch center of this is what someone else told them. So if they come all puffy chest and it's just two kids fighting, they were told it's a fight in progress with X number of people. They get there, it's 10 5-year-olds or 10 15-year-olds.
Right.
So it's just a lot, man. I just think that people really need to just listen, follow instructions, and for the most part, things will go a lot smoother.
So let me say this here. 3 quick things. I just had 2, and then you kept talking, and then the third one came up.
Okay.
So, my nephew, I got to put him out there, but points out there just in case I forget. So my nephew, what Rayshawn said about safety, and then the police officers being concerned about their safety, and then this thing here that you made mention of as a there was another incident that took place. We spoke last time, which was an officer in Clayton County here who actually was received from the dispatcher that there was some young teenagers who apparently was trying to rob the store or whatever and had a gun. So the police officer hears that they're going into a situation where someone is armed, and it's a group of guys. So he goes and he finds these young teenagers, black young teenagers. He approaches them. He has his gun up. He's telling them to stop, put their hands up. About 5 or 6 of them, I think. Definitely at least 5 or 6. And he started trying to de-escalate the situation and calm them down, get them to, adhere to what he was saying. And I'm watching because of his cam, how they are finally listening. He's telling him, please, I need you to listen. I don't want to be nervous. I don't want nobody to get hurt. He's expressing all of this. I don't want nobody to get hurt. And I think I said, Mark, it made me think about how you probably would have handled the situation. I don't want nobody to get hurt. Then people started coming from the sideline. So women and stuff. These are babies. Stop. Why you got to pointing at them? And now he's trying to explain to them why he's trying to keep these guys under control and keep his eye on them now, because he's not searched them yet. And he's been told from the dispatcher that one of them, somebody has a gun. So he has to look out for his safety, while he has to look at the crowd to make sure nobody comes and attack him from over here. And so it got to the point that he eventually, by himself, well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he waited till somebody got there. But he frisked everybody, realized they didn't have any weapons. It was a toy gun, but it looked so much like a real one. And he was trying to let the people on the side know, listen, I'm not Superman. I can't see what they got on them. I'm doing this just for this right now. So real quick, Mark, as an officer, I know the incident that you're speaking about that took place, because I even wrote the guy a letter who I believe he stabbed you. Didn't he stab you, Mark?
Yeah, he did.
Right. I wrote him a letter. God is my witness. I've been going through so much decluttering. I ran across this letter recently that I wrote to this guy, trying to figure out what was going through. I felt he was probably a good black guy that went wrong. What was going through his mind because of the way you approached him. But why not in law enforcement now, and how was it every day you had to go out, not knowing what you was being called to, whether you would make it back home? Can you, from an officer standpoint, give us your quick thought?
I mean, it's, you try not to think about, this may be my last day going to work, my last day coming home.
It ain't like going to Walmart to work, though.
No, it's not. But you try to think about the people you're going to help. You try to think about, who can I help today? What can I do to make my community better? I haven't been an officer since 2004. I was an officer only for a police officer for maybe 18 months. Once I got into this incident where I got stabbed, I didn't return to the police department, and I think it was divine intervention, because I applied for a job back as a probation officer. I got the letter in the mail from the Department of Corrections that morning. I worked a night shift. So I got the letter in the mail that morning, went to work that night, then I got stabbed. Then I never went back because I started the interview process. So, that was nothing but the Lord looking out for me. But, as a police officer, I never thought about, this could be my last day of work. This could be, I could not make it home. I just thought about everyone I approached, that I tried to approach, how I would want an officer to approach my mother, my father, my sister, if they had to deal with them. I tried to be respectful as I possibly could to everybody, because you never know when you need somebody in this world.
Right.
Because if you're mean and nasty and someone's jumping on you, they might join in.
Your mind frame was to protect and serve.
Protect and serve, right.
Right, protect and serve. Okay, so
Pastor G.
Yes, sir.
If I may chime in, I just want to say this, and this is in reference to police officers and African Americans in general. it's like, it's kind of like we're like a target.
It is 9:49 p.m.
We're a target, and if you look at the different cases that have taken place, when the police arrive on the scene, if it's a Caucasian, they'll have a different reaction than if it's an African American person. Now, it may sound biased what I'm saying, but I go back to the Dylan Roof and the Charleston 9. This man killed 9 people. If this was an African American man, these officers would have shot him on sight.
I believe so.
But they decided to take him out as a human being.
Yeah.
My thing is, why can't the police treat all people as human beings?
Oh, I thought you was about to say something else. They also took him to Burger King first.
I didn't even want to say it. I didn't even want to say it because it was just, I was so angry. I said, because if it was a black brother, I know the situation is horrible. It was a horrible situation. I wish something else could have happened. I wish the lives could have been saved. But if it was an African American, that man would not have made it out of that church.
Oh no. Why do you think that they feel more threatened by black than they do white, or because they regard blacks as less than white?
No, they probably, I don't know. It's like they've put this, I think African Americans have gotten to a level where they're tired of being sick and tired. And when you go back to 1921, and you go back to 1967, you go back to the murder of Malcolm X, you go back to the murder of Martin Luther King, you've had black people who have been trying to fight, and although a lot of times it was unsuccessful, but you still have those people who are, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth people.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like they've put this tag on us that we're just violent people, that we're strong people. And it's like when because just African-American men are people who they rule as thugs, or people who they rule, put people, whatever you want to call it. It's a whole different level of force, whether you see somebody in Buckhead or something.
Right. Shabach, you good, Rashard. Shabach, you and I was talking about some of your conversations that you've had with some of your colleagues. You want to chime in on the different perspectives that you've been getting before I give us our what I call our closing question for tonight, our meat question for tonight, that's going to bring forth transformation, because the question tonight is to bring forth transformation. Shabach, what have those conversations been like that you've had with a couple of your colleagues that have had different views? Are you able to give us light on that?
Yeah, so a lot of them, or some of them, I can't say all, some of them have this perspective that all police officers are bad. And, I understand how that perspective or that narrative comes from, their viewpoint of how they grew up with officers. With me, I grew up in church, and mega churches, even some smaller churches, where the officers, knew me, knew my pops, and when they saw us, we dapped up and everything. Sometimes when they saw us outside of church, they were cool. And so my perspective may be different from theirs, but the thing that we have to realize, that just because your perspective is different does not mean that that's everything.
Absolutely.
So for one, I honor and respect all officers, because if there's not a respect for all officers, period, that's then where the disrespect is going to come up, when you're dealing with a bad one who wants to be like, oh, you did this, you did that, you may be racist or maybe biased. But if there's a respect there, therefore you can de-escalate, or where it don't even get escalated. So that's the first thing, is respect. That there doesn't seem to be a respect amongst some people towards officers. The next thing is, yeah, you may find yourself with racist police officers, but what are you going to do? Allow the situation to play out. But at the same time, we have to understand where we're going to fight. You know, I was telling my parents how, you know, when I start getting my own car, that anyone who's going to be in my own car is going to follow suit to what I'm going to do. You know, when a police officer comes, hands on the steering wheel, hands out, hands available, don't talk unless you need to. All that respectful things to de-escalate the situation where it don't even have to get there. But there's this thing that we have to recognize that we have to have respect. And so I feel like amongst a lot of people is just the lack of respect for authority.
Okay. So,
Bishop G, can I just say one more thing to that?
yes, sir.
To what he was saying?
Right.
I totally agree with what Shabach said about having a certain level of respect for those who have rule over you or just the law in general.
Right.
But it seems as if when it comes to the African American race, you are guilty until proven innocent.
Wow.
But when it comes to a Caucasian, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And that's just what I just wanted to tag in on that one.
Well, as I was protesting, marching down the street and everything, I'm hearing different perspectives. I'm hearing so many different people express a different view from their emotions, their different experiences. You know, I'm seeing different black and white. I'm seeing young and old. But just like y'all are sharing tonight, I'm hearing these different perspectives because people have had, like Shabach said, he had different encounters. You know of ones you've had. I know of some good police officers. You know, Mark said he was a police officer for 18 months. I have a cousin who was a police officer. I had a nephew who actually, that's my phone, my watch. My nephew in South Carolina was actually, he fled from the cops on a couple of instances. I'm like, the grace of God, the blood of Jesus, everything was over him. There was a shield of protection. One time he was in cuffs and he went to running, you know, and there's so many different things. So I'm looking for him to one day just really have a strong praise report and to really give a different light, shine a light to into the lives of black young guys as to how they are to respond. One, going to what you said, Rashawn, because of how you are viewed. We're talking about the black brothers' view here, but we need to know how we are viewed. From what I understand, the Constitution doesn't look at us as a whole person anyway. And so when you understand how you are viewed by somebody, and going to what you're saying, Shabbat, respect people anyway. I may not agree with you. I may not hang with you. You know, I'm gonna try to make my encounter with you as short as possible. I'm gonna respect your position, you know, because sometimes you respect the person's authority or their position and you don't respect them as a person, you know. There's been cases like that, you know. But something y'all have said, y'all heard in the song too, as far as the argument is concerned. Mark was making mention of this. Don't try to have the argument. Don't try to discuss your case in the street. Try to make it home. Save that for the courtroom. You know. You know. Try to make sure you live. You know. And so all of these different things we have to deal with every day. They're real. It is a Rayshawn Brooks situation where we see, oh man, it started out this way. If you only did this, it would have went that way. Whether we say it was the officer's fault because of how he, you know, handled that, whether it's a George Floyd situation, and we just see the evil that's parading all in this guy, you know, whatever the case may be, whether we're dealing with white supremacists, right? and we're dealing with people who feel they're superior to us, as black men, and they're looking down on you, they're disregarding you. Today, Shabach and I, in my neighborhood, they have one of the restaurants put on the side, on the wall, did a mural, said Black Lives Matter. I live in an integrated community. There was this white father and his child walking down the sidewalk as we were taking a picture. He looked, the little child was reading and said, Black Lives Matter. And the dad was walking with him and looked at him and said, yes, they do. They do matter, whatever. And they kept on walking. And he was not about to speak to me, no Shabbat. I said, hey, how you doing? And just real quick, I was like, my life didn't matter nothing for hey, but I said, hey, you know what I'm saying? And kept it going. I used to always tell Shabbat, speak to people. He's like, son, they don't be speaking back. I said, listen, wave, speak, and keep it moving, and let that be your light in what you do. But we deal with these things every day, so it brings me to this question here. As men of God, as men of faith, we understand the word says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We live and we walk and we move by faith. Faith is the substance of things that we hope for and the evidence of things we don't yet see. So the question for tonight is, in reference to all of this that we're facing, we're dealing with, the question tonight is, and Shabbat kind of like tipped into it a little bit, what can we do different? What do better so that we can see different and see better as we move into the second half of 2020? This episode is being aired on the last Sunday of the first half of 2020. We are now about to go into the second half of 2020. I was listening earlier to Michael Jackson. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Yes, God.
I'm asking him to change his ways. So as a people, as black people, who are wanting whites to respect us, to regard us, for wanting fair treatment and justice. My question to each of you before we conclude tonight is, what is it that we can do? Because I don't know who you may help. I don't know who you may reach with what you're about to share or what you say. What can we do differently and better so that we can get different and get better? Because it is insanity to do the same thing and expect a different result. Rayshawn, you first.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Do better.
Well, there's two things I will say. The first thing is we cannot lose momentum. I was telling the officer, I was telling him, I was like, it's amazing, and it's so unfortunate that it took a tragedy for something like this to happen. But it took a tragedy for all 50 states to protest about the same thing, and 18 plus countries. That is remarkable in itself, but we can't lose momentum. Some may say I'm a political junkie, but I was listening to an interview on actually this morning, and President Trump was saying to Fox News, he said, they've been protesting for the last 3 weeks, but they're losing energy now. We can't lose energy, because let me tell you something. Juneteenth was celebrated in 38 states, because when people join together, when you are unified, it's so much that we can accomplish. We cannot lose momentum. We have to keep our eyes on the prize. And the second thing I will say is, we have to understand what the Bible says. We are the light of the world. We're the salt. We give
Yes.
it flavor. They have
Yes.
developed an opinion about African American and just certain people in general, because we're not the only minority that goes to this type of prejudice and racism and stuff. You have the Latino community and things like that. But we have to show them that we are the light of the world. They have to see Jesus in us. They have to know that it's something different. That's why the Bible declares that you can be in the world, but not of the world, because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So when you see us, you see somebody totally different, but we can't lose momentum. We have to keep this energy going that we want change, because don't the Bible say two? What does it say, Pastor G? I can't remember the scripture. Two can put 10,000 to flight.
1,000 to flight, but 2 can put 10,000 to flight.
What about 300 million? Oh my God!
Now.
Jesus.
Come on now.
I'm gonna start preaching. I'm getting excited.
Come on now.
I'm gonna pass the mic.
Come on now. Yes. You said stuff that was on my heart already today, so I don't have to echo. I mean, about the salt and the man. Yes. I should have said you for last. Oh man. All right. So, all right, Shabach, what can we do, man? You're 20 years old, my son. You've been raised differently than some others. You had the opportunity to go to a house school, predominantly white school. You're now at GSU, you know, and you got so many different encounters, and you're an entrepreneur and dreams and stuff, and you have a hope for a future. You used to always quote. I had you quoting as a little boy, Jeremiah 29:11. But we know the plans. He knows the plans he has for us, declares the Lord, plans to prosper us, not to harm us, but give us a hope in the future. What can we do differently, son, and better, so that we can see differently and see better as we move into the second half of this 2020 year?
What can we do better? I believe there are a lot of things that we can do better, but to
different and better.
But to pinpoint on one thing that's haven't been said, I would say we have to understand, and we have to be willing to not just what can we say, what do we want to be heard, but how can we first of all have a conversation to an understanding, because it seems like there is a wave of people, it's not all, but there's a wave of people who don't want to hear the other side. It's just, this is what we got. And then the next thing is we have to get into reality and understand each other's perspective. I was looking at a video Kiki shared. She had asked an officer to march, was actually military, to march with them. And I guess he was about to do a long march, whatever. He was like, he can't. And she was like, oh, da, starting a lot of feud. So then someone yelled, can you kneel down? So he was able to get on one knee, he knelt down. And then she was like, that's not enough. Then he had said, well, what I can do is march with y'all for this one block. Then she was like, that's not enough. We have to get to a point in place of not expecting that there's going to be this utopia, Wakanda, all black world. Because reality
That's good.
There's white, Latino, Indian, Native American. And if we forget or neglect, or it's not even forgetting or neglect, if we intentionally cast aside, say, forget all white people, if we neglect the issues that Hispanics and Latinos are going through right now with DACA, or DACA, if I'm saying it right, we neglect all these other things. We are not being a light. We're not helping our brothers and sisters because we're only acknowledging ours. Black lives matter. Yes, of course. But at the same time, if we only care about black lives, then who are we not helping our brothers and sisters? You know, I'm going to be hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag what can I do for Latinos, hashtag what is the next thing in a third world country that we need to be fighting for, you know, because I want to live in a world that everybody is able to live in, not just black people. You know, I know some people, they want this Wakanda thing. That's cool, but I want to live in a world where everybody can be.
So you said moving forward, the thing that we need to do better is to just be inclusive of everybody having value, having that having that mentality.
Right, and not excluding Black Lives Matter, because it does, and we have to make sure that it stands out. But once we make sure that it does stand out, that we are now still acknowledging the other issues that are in the world and that we have to conquer.
Okay. Well, one thing I can say, I always ask the question when I hear that Black Lives Matter. I'm always wondering what Black Lives Matters to who, or Black Lives Matter when. You know, does it just matter when? I'm not asking y'all this question right now, but does Black lives only matter when there's white people dealing with blacks? Does Black lives also matter when black dealing with black? You know, so it's just something to think about. So now we hear from the great producer, Mark Petersen.
I don't know about great producer, but I do what I can.
Moving, hey, you great in my eyesight. I appreciate you, man. So moving forward, man, as the man of God that you are, you know, and just all the hats that you wear, and from a lot of reform is being called upon from the officer's standpoint. You know, a lot of being asked of whites to change their ways of thinking and doing. We cannot change anybody else, you know. Right. So as a black people, you know, thinking one body as a black people individually, yes, but looking at us as one people, black people, what can we do differently and better so that we can see different and better as we move into the second half of this year?
Oh man, when you sent that question out, I just couldn't think of how we could do that. Touching on so many different ways of doing it. I couldn't give just one answer.
Right.
You understand that?
Right.
And it's like we have to learn how to support one another.
Absolutely.
We have to learn how to change the way we're doing things to make ourselves better. We have to start learning the rules to the game. You ever play a game and don't know the rules, expect to win?
Oh, Shabach, was we not talking about this? Oh my gosh.
Think about it. We over here trying to play these games with people who know the rules to the game, but we don't know the rules to the game. So how are we ever going to win?
That's good right there, Mark.
Oh, that's rich.
That's
That's
good right
rich.
there. That's good right there, man.
You know, it's like I try to tell people, man. I say, when you feel disrespected by an officer, when you feel an officer did you wrong, don't say something to that officer right then and there. Don't go back to the block and tell your homeboys that officers Joe and Joe and no and Joe did this and this to me. No, you go down to the police department, you file that complaint.
The strategy to the game is to make it home, right? Home base. That's
home. Because whether you did or didn't do what the officer said you didn't do, you're still a human. And he's still a human. So you got to understand, you know what? I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to make this complaint tomorrow. I'm going to make the complaint. And we all know a paper trail lasts a lot longer than a punch to the face.
Absolutely.
Okay? Just how we heard this officer had so many disciplinary actions, I don't know why he wasn't relieved, reassigned, get retrained. I can't speak upon that. But the fact that there was so many, when this happened, it makes it easier for the department to do what they did. Think about that. See how fast they fired him? Mm-hmm. Just imagine if no one had complained about him at all, and then this happened. Then it could have been said, well, maybe it was an accident. Maybe this didn't, no. Well, wait, we've been told he's done this 17 previous times. He's done something wrong 17 times. It's not going to change. Let's get rid of him. Shouldn't have to come to that, but you have to create that paper trail.
Right, and it might not be the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. It may be those the combination of all of them,
Right.
that finally the incident takes place, and like you said, they look back at that paper trail, and then this supports causing them to have to leave. You know.
Right. The pen is mightier than the sword, always. You know, pen is mightier than the sword. You can
Amen.
fight, but once I write it down, if you fight and kill me, it's still gonna be in there. Someone's gonna
That's
know.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people we have to support one another. We have to respect one another. We have to respect ourselves first and foremost, because how is someone else going to respect you when you can't respect yourself?
It's good. It's good.
Moving forward. Listen, y'all. All of that's good. All of that's real good. It's almost like, and like Mark, like you said, it was hard for you to think of one thing. And even as I heard y'all speaking, you could not just say just like one thing.
One thing, right.
Right. Because it's like it takes more than one thing, because it's so many things that has brought us to this place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, but I would say this right here in my closing with it is that, and Rayshawn, I would like for you. Rayshawn is y'all know he said he's a singer and everything. So I just want to do it a little different than that as we close out. Rayshawn just give us a couple of bars or something. But another day we'll hear from Shabach. He be rapping, spitting bars. So can't have all of this here and not give it to the world before we sign off. But the thing that I could say, that I would say, is it's something we're familiar with from kindergarten. Do unto others, the golden rule, as you would have others do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I look at Luke, the 10th chapter, and the 27th verse, and we hear love the Lord, because they was asking Jesus a question, what do? You love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. He then told them the story of the Good Samaritan, a Levite that saw the man beaten and bruised on his side, the black man. How about that? A Jew went, the Levite went by, then the priest went by, saw him laying there beaten, left for dead. But a Samaritan came by. There was no protest going on. There was nobody in his ear right there. There was something within him, in his spirit, man. There was something within him. We are transformed by renewing of our mind. So if my mind has not been programmed to love others as I love myself, and if I don't really love myself, it's gonna be hard for me to really love you. The Samaritan, he stopped. He need no one to tell him to do this. He wasn't expecting anything of return. He stopped to make this man's moment, this man's life better. How can I help? How can I make his life better? How can I make this situation better? How can I change this situation for this man? And it takes all of us individually, but then as a people, to say, you know what? Let us start doing each other like I want done to me. And I think as we move forward, if we just go back to the basics, man.
Yes.
Go back to the basics. It's the word of God, but it's also what we learned in kindergarten. If you hadn't gone to church a day in your life, you went to kindergarten or you went to school.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher had the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them to do unto you. Not do unto others before they do unto you. I heard somebody say that before.
No.
And so when we learn to, I'm going to treat Rayshawn with respect. I'm going to treat Shabach with respect. It doesn't matter that you're younger than me. I'm going to treat Mark with respect. I'm going to treat people with respect. I work with children. I work with elderly. I work with people my age in between, right? And I'm treating them all with the kind of respect that I want. I'll say even yes, sir, to some young people and let them say yeah to me. I say, what? said, you know, and I let them know I respect you. You need to respect me, you know.
Absolutely.
And while we come from different places, it doesn't take. White people have been asking, tell me what to do. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? What you need to do is just treat people like you would want. If you don't want that done to you or yours, don't do it. Whatever that thing is that you don't want done for you or yours, don't do it. And if you would want somebody to do that, then you do it, and you do it across the board. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Hey, fellas, I enjoyed this talk again. I enjoyed listening to your perspectives. Before we close, is there anything anybody want to say that's on your heart, your mind, before we wrap up, before Rayshawn take us out with some inspiration? Is there something that you want to put in the atmosphere, you want to leave? But I do encourage everybody to continue. We talked about being light, hashtag be light. That's an acronym that I have, LIGHT, and that is to lead with love and to inspire individuals. You know, the I. G, give generously. H, hurry to help somebody, right? You know, and then T, be a tenacious team player. You know, we got to work as a team. It's not just me. We got to work as a team. So anyway, is there anything on your heart, your mind you want to say before we wrap it up? Everybody clear? I'm Mark. Anything you want to say?
I'm good.
You
good.
good? Shabach, anything on your mind?
Heart and mind is clear.
Your mind is clear?
Yes, sir.
Is your mind clear? Rayshawn, you good?
I'm crystal clear right now.
Listen, I thank y'all so much. Believe me, everything we put forth, and God's word is shaping into so many different packages. And this has been God's word going forth in the world. This has been light, and this has been salt going forth. It will not return void.
Amen.
All right. And so we're going to trust God to do something great from this. I need this conversation. I need this talk, this dialogue. It gives me people who are kindred minds that I can talk to. We're kindred minds, but we may have different views, but it gives me a good place, a safe place to come. So I appreciate it. Rayshawn, please, right here for the first time on DL Gidron BBB Black Brothers TV, we have none other than Minister Rayshawn Carson, who's going to give us a little bit of some kind of inspiration, positivity. I don't know. No need for me to play Michael Jackson. We got Rayshawn Carson. Y'all give him a hand as he should call and share with us our good.
Amen. All right, I'm gonna try to belt something out. You hear my night voice coming in. So, but I think this song is so vital by Hezekiah Walker, and it's very simple. It says, "I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me, agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive." And for all of those who's watching and who will tune in the future, I just want you to know, I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive.
Perfect. Listen, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Mark, thank you. Shabach, thank you. Rayshawn, thank you, man. I love y'all much. from BBV, we all love you all.
God bless you.
God bless.
God bless.
Have a good night. Oh, man.